Hello. Hi. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? I was having issues. Hello. Welcome back. I'm always having issues. What's new? Hello. It is Melly time. I'm earlier today. What's up? Hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome back. I'm excited to be talking about this case. Happy Saturday. I hope you guys are having a great weekend thus far. I am Melly. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Kelsey Fitzsimmons out of North Andover, MA, Massachusetts, and another Commonwealth cover up. And I'm kind of newer to the case, and I wasn't going to cover it because I know that it's really hard to get the documents, but actually they're all over Twitter. So at that point, when you put something on Twitter, it's pretty much public. So and some of the attorneys put some stuff out. So I actually have tons of stuff to cover. So we're going to do a live, we're going to just continuously cover this case from now on. I'm really into it. And I think that Kelsey deserves justice. And I feel horrible about what's happening to her. We're going to go through kind of just like the details, the background of the case. We have a timeline, have some pictures. We have some statistics. We have a couple court documents. Sorry, I have a to-do list because there's way too much. We have a couple articles. We have 2 clips. We have a 10-minute press conference, a couple court documents, and then a few articles on the, I guess, ex-fiance in the family. So we're going to get right into it. The documents I did get today were on Twitter. Honestly, I can't remember who. There's a couple people that have them. I know someone named Jess Machado. I'm not sure who that is really. I just know she's involved in Turtle Boy case. She has some documents. Tomorrow we'll probably continue this case and go into some court hearings. And one of my mods is sending me articles, so we'll probably cover those as well. We're going to read through the affidavit today. Just a little bit of a deep dive so we're all familiar with the case and we all can help support. I thought there was a GoFundMe. Let me know if you know, Laura, if there is, or like a Give, Send, Go. I definitely would love to link that. So I'll update the description at the end. Let's get started. Please hit that like button and thank you for being here. It really helps the channel and it's free way to support if you hit the like button and hype the streams out. So thank you for being here. Yes, I'm going to put the comments up. We are going to do a Kenzie live later as well. And I have news for you all. I have created a second channel, and over there, it's kind of going to be like a Melly After Dark channel. So I wanted to split the two because I always want to come on here and do like other stuff, but non-related to true crime. But true crime is like my passion. So I want to keep my true crime channel just that. I love it so much. And so I want it to be its own thing. And so I'm splitting like the makeup, the singing to you, the karaoke nights, like all of that. We're going to do it on another channel. So when that is ready later tonight, I will give you guys the link. I have to update like the banner and we need to get monetized over there. So if you guys can support, that would be great. Thank you very much. We were going to have a lot of fun over there, but I just wanted to really separate the two. So only adults, please. Let me see what I want to start with. Okay, pulling up a PowerPoint. Yes, and thank you for being here. Shout out to my mods. I see. Let me pull up the comments. I saw Debbie. I saw Widow. I saw Vanjie, Carrie, and I saw Laura's very familiar with this case. That's awesome. Let me know if I miss anything or if you know something that I'm saying incorrect. Hey, Kara. Evie, you made it. Hi. Evie, we missed you last night. Wait, did you show up? I can't remember. I didn't see Abuelita in here. Did she pop in here? Not yet. Okay. Let's get started. Yes. This case is very sad. I see you guys talking about postpartum. It's a very, 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 very sad case. Let's get started. Okay, so on the screen is Kelsey Fitzsimmons with her baby. I guess it's her ex now. He's an evil man. His name is Justin. And these are all my opinions, unless it's on the court documents. Everything else is just me creating my content, information found on the internet, etc. You make your own opinion, please. But thank you for being here. So, Kelsey was 20 years old. She was an off duty on admin leave. She's from North Andover, MA. She worked for the North Andover Police Department. She was in a relationship with this man here who was a firefighter, and his name is Justin. And I believe she was 4 months pregnant. Um, and she was planning on marrying him, I believe, early October of 2025. She had a baby on February 16th by the name of a baby boy named Caden. Like I said, she was 28 years old. She was off duty on admin leave when this situation happened. She was experiencing, she was struggling during pregnancy with mental health. So she was struggling with postpartum depression. Although, I don't know, a part of me thinks like it could be postpartum psychosis too. I'm not a psychologist, so I would really like need to look into the difference. But I don't know. I was seeing some of that online too, as I was researching, or maybe it could be both. I don't know how that works, like in combination or whatnot, because I'm not like a health professional, so we might look into that. But I feel like it could be that as well. Nonetheless, she was struggling, right? And the reason I want to mention, the reason why I wanted to talk about this case too was a mental health. You guys know how I am about that. And I had a very similar experience in a sense of where I was dating someone who didn't know how to handle mental health well. And I did go through like a period where I don't know, it was a lot and the police were involved. So it's like I can empathize with this 1000%. And I think that mental health with postpartum depression and or related to anything with pregnancy, I've never experienced it, but it's like it reminds me of Andrea Yates and Lindsay Clancy, you know, like those cases. And it's just sad because I feel like no one's helping Kelsey, but I do know she has a lot of support. But I feel like just being set up by someone that you wanted to marry is like just so dirty. But before we get into the rest of the case, this is about like the criminalization of women with postpartum psychosis or postpartum depression, right? This is why we want to bring action to this as well. But it needs to be a judicial change for anything to change in the bigger scheme of the picture, right? It's no joke when these mental health issues and postpartum is almost, well, from what I've heard of from friends, is like it tricks you into thinking everything is normal. And if you've gone through that, let me know if that's kind of what it feels like. Um, I did pull up some stats just because I wanted to know, and it says that it affects 1 to 2 women per 1,000 births, or 4,000 women each year in the United States. That sounds like a lot, but it's not really. I mean, considering how big the United States is. But I pulled these stats up. I think it was maybe WebMD or something similar. But I did pull something from them and this is what it says, the conclusion. Oh, it was like a research paper. I'll have to link it in the description by, I think, WebMD people. And it says this temporary mental illness can lead to tragic outcomes when hospitalization and crisis intervention is delayed or the illness is misdiagnosed. The legal judicial system has not utilized the growing body of scientific developments that medical researchers have discovered in recent decades. The lack of unique diagnostic classification of the DSM and the lack of postpartum criminal laws led to mentally ill mothers in the US receiving excessively harsh sentences when prosecuted, evidenced both in trial and sentencing. So, Kelsey was going through that. And allegedly, like, and correct me if I'm wrong if you know about the case, but I guess there was a situation out in Maine, like there was family and friends, there was like an event going on or whatnot, a family get together, where she allegedly threatened the baby. That's what they were saying at first. I read somewhere that it was like not to harm the baby, but to take him away so that the father could never see him again. We're going to read through the affidavit that originally started all of this. I don't know exactly how the like, there's a lot on this, but not really, like, in the sense of, like, other cases I found. I found a lot of, like, news clips, but and there's a lot of other channels, like, I know ML is covering this pretty well. I know, Turtle Boy has talked about it. That's kind of where I heard about it first of all. Um, so yeah, Laura says her bachelor party a few days before on July 4th weekend. Hmm, that's where it happened? Hey, Debbie. Hey, Cree. They're saying her mental health started when she witnessed a oh, an murder, unaliving of a mother and a child with her partner who shot her. Oh. Yeah, I can't imagine that. Yeah, the boyfriend is, a firefighter. Um, so at this event outing in Maine, allegedly, I don't know if it was I'm pretty sure it was in Maine. Um, well, actually, it might help if I read the affidavit first, but what originally started all of this. I allegedly she physically assaulted her fiance as well as others who were trying to restrain her or help de-escalate the situation. After this event, the boyfriend went forward with filing a restraining order as well as a petition for sole custody. And I'm just very confused. I'm not a lawyer, FYI, but I'm really confused at like the laws behind that. I guess I should have looked into that a little more, but like I don't understand how they can take her baby from they took her baby. Well, she's in jail, but how they can separate a mother from her baby, like that really blows my mind because I know for a fact that that actually ends up affecting the baby. So I just don't understand where this ex-fiance of hers like thinks that this is cool. Um, because you're already putting the newborn at risk and the baby for like conditions such as like anxious attachment disorder, avoidance issues, and all other things, right? That can that fall into the mental health category. So I just think it's really, really gross. But we'll get into that in a second. So that's basically what happened. I want to pull up the affidavit so we get a little background of like what the boyfriend said. I had to really dig for this on the internet because it was hard. These documents, I believe you can only get them if you're an attorney. So that's why other like law tubes have been, I'm not law tube, I'm just true crime. But like people have been posting it on like Twitter and stuff, and that's so very appreciated. So shout out to everyone that's doing that because some people like to gatekeep on here. Okay, so here we go. So it says 6/28, 2025. This is the affidavit filed by her fiance, Justin. Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and I'll try my best to read this writing. And I'm gonna zoom in. Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and I'm sorry, I'm looking on this screen for a second because it's actually I should just move this. I have too many screens. It says Kelsey Fitzsimmons is a danger to myself. Sorry. Is a danger how to make it bigger. Pause. Is a danger to myself and or along to I'm sorry. Is a danger to myself and our son along with herself? Oh, sorry, my computer's just freaking out. On Saturday night, June 28th, Kelsey struck me with a closed fist 3 times to my face. I was scared she would not stop. My brother and sister heard noises and knocked. I was able to open the door and then it's crossed out. With the part that's crossed out says she immediately said she didn't do anything. I heard and that's crossed out. So it says I was able to open the door and she grabbed my arm and ripped me back into the room. My brother and sister came in and she said she didn't do anything. I feared for my life, so I left with a friend to stay at a hotel. Family and her closest friends reported that even after I left, she physically hit them to try and get to me. Her friends called the Bethel police in Maine. I don't know. I guess is it Bethel police? And I don't know what the hell that says. Sorry, the writing is like so bad. I now lost my freaking place. Oh, Bethel police and MA. Yeah, I don't know what that says. It says Bethel Police in Maine and then something else police in MA and North Andover Police, who she worked for because they thought she might hurt herself, the baby or me. Kelsey decided at 2 a.m. while heavily intoxicated and fighting her friends that she would leave to get the baby. Her parents took our son from my parents in the middle of the night, saying they didn't care what manic state she was in. They were taking the baby to her. Today, Kelsey is threatening to take the baby far, far away for a long time. This is how she has spoken about killing herself in the past. I fear that she will unalive the baby at any moment. And then it says she punched her stomach repeatedly. It says if this box is checked, more space is needed and one additional pages are attached, but I couldn't find the other one, unfortunately. So if someone has it, feel free to email it or let me know. That's the affidavit that the fiance filed against her, where it caused her, I think, to lose the baby, lose custody of the baby. Oh, yeah, it was in Bethel, Maine. I feared for my life. I know. I have nothing nice to say, but I guess I'll try to stay professional. This is a little bit ridiculous. Like, is that actually what happened? Did anybody else? Did the family like, I didn't find any affidavits from the family or witness reports from the family. Like, is that true? Like, she was fighting with her friends and stuff physically? I need to hear from somebody, like, that was there. Maybe I'm just not caught up. We're learning about this case together, okay? So we're learning. Um, that part was, crazy. A closed fist 3 times to my face. Another part, I feared for my life. That is, like, a little dramatic. It gives, like, Lauren Hidden True Crime vibes, right? Like, she was in the video where she's, like, really saying she fears for her life. Um, that's a bit much. Supposedly her friends and his friends that were at the party said this. Interesting. Okay, so that's the affidavit. Let's go back to, she was basically served. So she's going through all of this, right? Let me pull up the timeline. Because that was all I could find. That was the only copy I could find online. So I think I found it on X. I could only find some documents that were, like, straight from, some docket link, but other than that, everything else is, like, pretty much what's on Twitter. Um, okay, so she's in Maine when that happens. She ended up being served this restraining order, and that's when she was shot, which is why it's now a whole 'nother issue. So that her being shot was on June 30th. So Allegedly, I don't know. Somebody was saying that she was pregnant again at the time. I can't confirm that. That's just what I've been hearing. First, I like it better because it's something yeah, it's the only one I could find, and I really like that it was on yeah. It works, that's all that matters. Yeah, I'm confused. So he feared for him from this woman? Yeah, he was gonna marry her. Oh, she was shot after June 30th. Let me pull up when the timeline. That might help us a little bit to establish the timeline. I have so many windows open. This is crazy. There's a lot of documents on this that I ended up finding. Okay, so she gives birth. Here's the timeline. Let's go through the timeline first so that we don't get confused as I'm going through because I don't want to mess anything up. She gave birth in February. Wedding date was 10/4/2025. She is a town employee of North Andover Police Department. We already said that. And her fiance is a firefighter. Oh, wait, I'm not sharing the screen with you. My bad. Good thing I realized that. Um, let me slide 22. Okay. Here we go. Timeline. The fire department also runs EMS. He is licensed EMT since 2020. On 3/9/2025, March 9th, 911 was called. This would be her peers and his peers responding to this call. It was that earlier in the year? I thought it was later. Laura, I thought it happened in June. Bachelor party was on July 4th. I think she may have been shot July 7th. Really? That seems like that date seems wrong. She was proven off her rocker. She was not off her rocker. That's so messed up. Okay, let's read this before we go into the timeline so we don't get confused. So, female mask cop later shot by fellow officers during restraining order. Remember when I said she was getting served a restraining order and that's where she was shot. So, we know the situation that happened earlier with the boyfriend, but this says a vacationing cop repeatedly slugged her firefighter boyfriend in an otherwise sleepy Western Maine town amid a pre-July 4th violent domestic battles, officials say. She's so pretty too. Kelsey Fitzsimmons, 28, a North Andover police mass officer, reportedly assaulted her male firefighter lover, Justin, during a holiday break in Bethel. 2 days later, Fitzsimmons was shot and wounded by officers of her own department as they served her in Massachusetts with a restraining order that Justin had sought. Justin requested the order because he said he feared Fitzsimmons might kill him or their infant son or both. The firefighter sought the abuse prevention restraining order against new mom Fitzsimmons, fearing that the disturbing and suicidal behavior she exhibited while she was pregnant and after she gave birth would escalate. In the application for the order, the boyfriend alleged that Fitzsimmons struck him 3 times with a closed fist while they were recently visiting Maine. We just literally read that document. He feared for his life, he said, and left to stay in a hotel. Amid the fighting, friends of hers called the police in Bethel and in Massachusetts. The assault case is under police investigation. Fitzsimmons was hospitalized in March, soon after giving birth for treatment of postpartum depression. So that is when like the postpartum depression started. So my timeline wasn't far off. Justin's abuse order, and it's not my timeline actually. I found it. Um, I just kind of added to it. Justin's abuse order request also seeks sole custody of the couple's baby, even though they've not married. Fitzsimmons is currently on administrative leave from her North Andover police job. So she was mentally not well. She was literally off of work because of the postpartum stuff she was going through. And he is now trying to take the whole baby, fight the whole baby, sole custody of the baby and the whole baby, take all of the baby. And allegedly, he's now trying to take her home as well while she is incarcerated. So she was first initially she was let out on bail. She was arrested, I believe, let out on bail, and then rearrested. I think that's what happened. The stuff is real. I know. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Yeah, Alicia, it's confusing. And I think I get confusing too because there was a lot of mental health issues going on with her, I think. And that's rough, right? Like when you are misdiagnosed or whatnot. And she had the baby in February. So there was definitely something going on. Um, and then it led to this, but it's not as much as this is about mental health, it's about the corruption and MA because first of all, the police chief involved in this case is in my opinion shady as hell. We're going to look into that in a second. And also, I don't understand and I'm not a police. I don't know anything about it, especially in that state. But I find it very suspicious that like why did her colleagues served her and she's being charged because they think that she pulled out her firearm intentionally and pointed it and or attempted to shoot her colleagues, but she was allegedly trying to unalive herself as she was going through, I think, postpartum depression and all this stuff going on. At least I think that's what we're gonna read through her lawyer's actual statement so we know the facts. Because I'm new to this case. I just pulled everything that's like from the beginning. So we'll read the statement from her attorney in a second. But I wanted to share that article because I thought this one was very helpful. Um, and this, like, oh yeah, you guys already saw pictures of them, but that's her and that's Justin, the firefighter. Hmm, really so sad. Okay, there's one more article that I want to read before we move on to my timeline, just so we know at least the facts before I read my stuff. So the next article it says Kelsey Fitzsimmons worked her way up to the police officer one night in June. That all changed. I thought this article was very also resourceful. So let me share. I think that this is messed up. I think and I thought CPS was supposed to show up for these kinds of situations, no, where like children are involved in mental health. Maybe not. I'm just wondering why the officers were, I guess I have a problem with like why they approached her at home, but I guess she was on leave. So that's probably why they served her at her home. Okay, so this article says back in September, Kelsey Fitzsimmons was among five females recognized by the North Andover Police Department. On National Police Women's Day, the department lauded Fitzsimmons and other women as excellent role models in the community. They all demonstrate leadership and a strong desire to help the citizens and visitors to the town of North Andover each and every day, the department shared in a Facebook post on September 12th, 2024, alongside a photograph of Fitzsimmons standing at attention in her police uniform with her right hand raised. They are also excellent role models for the youth of our town in building lasting relationships between the department and the community, the post said. Fast forward to this week when a state commission announced Fitzsimmons has been suspended as a police officer. Her suspension came 2 weeks after Fitzsimmons was shot in the chest by one of her colleagues at her home. On Thursday, Fitzsimmons is facing criminal charges in the matter, broke her silence about the night on June 30th, when her life as a police officer and citizen all changed. Through her attorney, Fitzsimmons released her version of events that night, saying in a one harrowing moment, she had pointed the firearm at her temple with the intent of unaliving herself. That's when, according to Fitzsimmons, another officer shot her in the chest. I am, quote unquote, I am in trouble and have a gunshot wound to my chest because in that awful isolated moment, I no longer had the will to live, Fitzsimmons said in her first public comment on the incident, adding that she was diagnosed with postpartum depression soon after giving birth to her son in February. Fitzsimmons, 28, was off duty and on administrative leave when three of her male colleagues came to her North Andover home to serve a restraining order to her. The order obtained by Fitzsimmons' fiance and the father of their 4-month-old baby came by surprise in an ex parte fashion, seeking to take the child away from her, says her attorney, Tim Bradle. Prosecutors said an armed confrontation ensued. Fitzsimmons was shot by police once in the chest in the incident on Phillips Brooks Road around 6 p.m. on June 30th, according to Essex County District Attorney Paul Tucker and her attorney. When one of the officers was escorting Miss Fitzsimmons during the service of the court order, an armed confrontation took place, Tucker said shortly after the altercation. One of the standard boxes to check is the retrieval of any firearms in the home. Fitzsimmons was flown to a Boston hospital. She said she had 2 surgeries since the shooting. Here I am today, 2 surgeries later, bedridden and trying really hard to heal from the significant injuries, said Fitzsimmons. I am facing felony charges for a half-hearted attempt to take my own life. Her attorney said this week that Fitzsimmons was in grave condition. Fitzsimmons had worked her way up to ranks to become a law enforcement officer. She began her career working part-time for Fisher College campus police, according to her LinkedIn page. As a student, she worked security for the Boston Red Sox and also as an intern for the Methuen Police Department. Oh, that was the word in the affidavit. There we go. When they said they called Bethel Police Department and then it was Methuen. I just couldn't read that jerk's sloppy writing. My apologies, everyone. And I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Sorry. She received a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Fisher College in 2020. That same year, Fitzsimmons also began to study at the Mass School of Law. After college, she worked as a legal assistant at Lawrence Law Firm. In September of 2021, Fitzsimmons secured her first full-time job in law enforcement, working as a correctional officer for Essex County Sheriff's Department for just over 2 years. She began working as a full-time officer at the North Andover Police Department in November of 2023. Fitzsimmons also had plans for her personal life. She and her fiance, firefighter Justin, had planned a wedding in Maine for this fall, according to her online wedding registry that has since been taken down. Several photos of the couple had been posted to the registry site, including one of the couple smiling and showing off her engagement ring. "Quote unquote, we wish you both a lifetime of happiness," the Andover Fire Department said in a Facebook post last fall after the couple became engaged. Look at how happy she looks right there. That is truly so sad. Ugh, this is rough. The wedding had been set for October 4th. Imagine how horrible that is. You have your life planned out in a big wedding, and then this happens. You're incarcerated, going through postpartum depression. Your baby's being taken away, and he's trying to steal your home. And there's corruption within the police department. It's literally another Commonwealth situation. In February, she and Justin celebrated their birth of their child, a boy. The couple was among several new parents connected to the North Andover Fire Department. 8 of the department's firefighters welcomed 9 babies in the past 9 months. Days after the shooting on July 3rd, criminal charges were lodged against Fitzsimmons, who had been with the North Andover Police Department for over a year and a half when the shooting happened. Fitzsimmons is facing 1 count of assault to murder and 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon, according to the clerk's office at Lawrence District Court. It was unclear Thursday when Fitzsimmons would be arraigned on the charges, so that's changed. This is from, I think, early a couple months ago. Fitzsimmons said she never pointed the firearm at the officer who shot her. The officer was not just a colleague, he was my friend, said Fitzsimmons. Last summer, she and the officer responded to a call together. When they walked into a local home, they saw a horrific scene, a murder suicide of a mother and her infant. Thank you, Laura. Laura had mentioned this earlier. So this could have contributed to her mental health for sure. That's a thing, about being in law enforcement is you see these in crime as well, like a crime scene tech or something like that. You have to experience these horrific things. Wow. Fitzsimmons was 20 weeks pregnant at the time. Quote unquote, the officer that shot me experienced this call with me, she said. To this day, his support during that hard time is something I'm still grateful for, regardless of the recent incident that occurred. This traumatic situation call was a catalyst for my mental health complications. Oh, wow. This is so sad. This is like terrifying. This week, Fitzsimmons was suspended as a police officer by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. Fitzsimmons' suspension is effective immediately. Commission Executive Director Enrique Zuniga wrote in his order on Monday. While the reason for her suspension was redacted from the document, Zuniga wrote the commission has received sufficient evidence for the action. Fitzsimmons is hereby directed to surrender, and the respondent's agency is directed to collect without delay any agency issued credentials and equipment that promote and support the performance of functions associated with service as a law enforcement, Zuniga wrote. This includes any uniform, badge, firearm, assigned cruiser, and the use of force instruments such as tasers. Okay, here's a little background on June 30th, the shooting. On June 30th, around dinner time, Fitzsimmons said she was sitting on my couch feeding my baby boy when I got a knock at my front door. She said she was very confused to see three of her colleagues. Quote unquote, I opened the door and I am told the following. Your fiance has filed a restraining order against you. He will be taking your son away with no contact allowed. Your firearms license that was just returned is gone again. And oh yeah, that career you worked so hard for and love that you were just cleared to return to, that will be taken away too, Fitzsimmons said. She said she then packed bags containing baby food, clothes, diapers, and toys for my son to be taken away from me. I passed my son off to a fellow police officer and I went into my bedroom. That's when the unthinkable happened, she said. She wanted to end her life. Fitzsimmons on Thursday said she would never harm her child or another officer. As a police officer myself, I would never think to intentionally hurt another police officer, she said. I see everyone in uniform as my brothers and sisters. Of the officer who shot her, she said, I especially would never hurt my friend who has a loving wife and children. I just would never. My firearm was never pointed in any direction other than my temple. When I pulled the trigger, my gun did not fire, Fitzsimmons said. However, I immediately got shot in the chest by my colleague and my friend. She said, I am extremely grateful for two things, that God protected me from my attempt of taking my own life and protected me by millimeters from dying from that gunshot wound to my chest. North Andover Police Chief Charles Gray, which we're going to talk about in a little, remember that name, has declined to discuss why Fitzsimmons was on leave from the department at the time of the shooting, calling it a personal matter. It's a critical incident, and it's like a lot of critical incidents the police officers deal with. We all have our own way of getting through it, whether together or by ourselves, Gray said shortly after the shooting. Postpartum depression. Central to this case is Fitzsimmons' role as a new mother and the postpartum depression she was experiencing when she was shot, according to Fitzsimmons and her lawyer. She needed help. She needed compassion, says her attorney Bradel. What she got instead was gunfire and now an appalling campaign to criminalize her in order to deflect accountability from the agency responsible for this botched response. Instead of de-escalation, she was met with deadly force. Fitzsimmons said she was diagnosed with postpartum depression in March, 3 weeks after giving birth to her son. She said she was immediately sought help from medical professionals. I have been actively in treatment since day one of my diagnosis and was eager to heal and feel like myself again, Fitzsimmons said. Unfortunately, healing a sickness does not happen overnight. This is terrifying. I'm horrified. I'm screaming. I am so angry. A spokesperson for Tucker, the district attorney, declined to discuss the case in detail this week. The facts in support of the charges that were issued out of Lawrence District Court will be detailed at the arraignment in open court, said the spokesperson. Bradel said he intends to fight these charges with every legal resource available. We will demand full transparency and follow every lead where it takes us, Bradel said. We will call out every contradiction and expose every lie. Her attorney said the shooting in late June changed Fitzsimmons' life in an instant. She was confronted by three men from her department, and in an instant, her baby, her job, and her future with her fiance were all taken from her. Tucker, in speaking to reporters after the shooting, noticed the difficulties facing law enforcement officers in their line of work. We worry deeply about the mental health concern of our officers, Tucker said at the time. These are humans. These are police officers who have to make quick decisions. This should not go unnoticed or unappreciated by the public. Yeah, so she's a human too, and she just had a baby and is experiencing postpartum depression, which is a real medical condition. And it's hard to diagnose and it's hard to treat because it looks different for every female. There's so many factors that play into it. Boston 25 News retrieved the restraining order filed by Justin. It outlined allegations of domestic abuse. But Simmons said in her statement on Thursday that she was failed by so many. Quote unquote, my firearm was never pointed in any direction other than my temple. When I pulled the trigger, my firearm did not fire. However, I immediately got shot in the chest by my colleague and friend. She said the North Andover Police Department has released a narrative about the incident that is vague and non-committal for a reason. If body cameras were worn by my department, I would not be in the position where I am wrongly accused of pointing my firearm at this officer. I know the truth will prevail, Fitzsimmons said on Thursday. Boston 25 reached out to North Andover Police Department. The department directed inquiries about the matter to Tucker's office. Fitzsimmons, meanwhile, said her infant son gives her reason to live. I will survive and thrive. I know I need to be on earth for many reasons, but most importantly, my beautiful son. Um, my computer is like freezing. This is terrifying. Hi, Augie. Good to see you, love. Um, Give me a sec. My computer's like lagging on my end. Okay. Sorry, let me pull up the next thing I want to show you guys. I did want to also point out the part about the body worn cameras. That's also on my PowerPoint presentation that I made. That is crazy. So let me pull it up. Sorry, my computer's like I think it's StreamYard is acting up on my end. Give me a sec. Okay. No body cams. Okay, I should be good now. Sorry. Yeah, I know it froze for a minute. Sorry, guys. It's StreamYard is like acting up on my end. Um, okay, there we go. Add to stage. Okay, so yeah, here I had put at the beginning of the presentation, the North Andover Police Department doesn't wear body cams, so we can't know exactly what happened, but here's what has been released. Okay, so yeah, no body cams. I'm confused why they don't have body cams there. I think that should be like a law that every department should have body cams. That's shady as hell. How are we able to know as the public and for evidence that there's no corruption going on when there's no body cams? That's really shady. While she was served, she allegedly used her firearm. Yeah, okay, we know that. Okay. I think it should be required everywhere in every police department. Okay, so she gave birth in February. That's really messed up. And why is she incarcerated? She should be out right now. Before we move on, she should be out right now with her baby on home detention or whatever the hell, house arrest. She does not need to be incarcerated. First of all, there's no body cams. Why is this even a case? Second of all, she was going through postpartum depression, mental health. Third of all, has this other cop who shot her but spoke out? I haven't heard anything. Um, yeah, it is very shady. Okay, so she gives birth in February. Wedding date is 10/4. Okay, we already went through that. 3/9, she called. 911 was called. This would be her peers responding to this call for a female having a mental health episode. So on March 9th, North Andover police and emergency medical technicians were called to her home for a report of a female having a mental health episode. Fitzsimmons was found at the home with her fiance where she was emotionally crying and seeking assistance. So she was already, remember, she gave birth in February. She was already going through postpartum depression. She was willing to go to the hospital and then transported to Lawrence General, where the Section 12 was put in place, which was why she was on administrative leave. She was diagnosed with postpartum depression. She was discharged within 12 hours of the incident. Why was a Section 12 filed if this was all voluntary? That's okay. This is from, I remember this. I saw this on a Reddit. Her fiance stood her up at the park earlier. I thought her fiance was trying to set her up. Wasn't that what that was about? 5/6, this is May 6th. Files lawsuit for firearms license appeal. June 27th, she withdrew her lawsuit. 7/1, 209A is filed by fiance. She is shot by her own department. With abundant recourses available by their employees, how did we get here? It's giving versus coercive control abuse versus postpartum depression. This is from Reddit user, the KELSEY Fitzsimmons Reddit. That's where I got it from. Abuse versus postpartum depression. Yes, this is why I wanted to show you guys this part. It's giving coercive control abuse versus postpartum depression. I hope she has a good attorney and a strong support system. She'll be fighting against all of town hall as people will protect their careers and pensions. All infants need their mother safe and healthy. And it goes into the fact that two other female police officers have documented discrimination and harassment at this police department. Are you guys keeping up? So you guys know what happened. You know what her fiance did at the time, filed the affidavit. She got her baby taken away and she's back in jail. He's trying to take everything from her, including custody of her baby. But the chief police deputy, who other female officers have filed a lawsuit against, is the same man that Kelsey was dealing with and who has a ton of charges. Well, not a ton of charges, but he has been alleged to discriminate females in the police department. So, with that being said, let's move on to before we move on to the rest of Kelsey, I wanted to touch on that because it goes back into the whole corruption part of it all. I'm going to play a clip and then we're going to actually read the lawsuit or the complaint filed against this police deputy. So, we're getting into all of it here, all the tea. We need to know everything because we're going to support Kelsey. Um, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit on that on the X too. Mr. Justin isn't as innocent as he wants to play, and he's not fooling anyone here at Mellyverse. No, 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 he is not. He's shady. Okay. Let's get into the police chief. So, Charles Gray has two separate lawsuits for discrimination and harassment of women cops. Kelsey dropped a lawsuit against Gray 3 days before she was shot. Are you guys catching on to this? I cannot believe this. Is this another like Karen Reed situation? I'm shook. Police Sergeant Catherine Gerke, I hope that I'm saying that right, has filed a lawsuit against Police Chief Charles Gray and the town of North Andover, in which she claims she has been subjected to a pattern and practice of sexual harassment, retaliation, and gender discrimination. We're going to read this complaint right now because I have already had enough of this bullshit. The lawsuit points out that Sergeant Catherine is one of only 3 female officers in the department where there are 40 male officers. There's a lot of red flags here. Are you guys seeing them all? Are you catching them all? Are you keeping track? Because we need to know all of this. So, the ambush of a mom who was allegedly struggling with mental health issues, and they send cops from her own department to serve her. It just seems like a bad process overall. And then you find out that the police chief, Mr. Charles Gray, has all of these complaints, legal complaints against him. Let's get into it. I'm going to grab a drink of my bubbly and then we're going to read the document. Let me pull it up. And I'm so glad I was able to find it because we need the receipts. Okay. We need all of the receipts. Oh, my bad. That's the one. I pulled up my PowerPoint. Sorry, guys. That's the one I wanted to share. This is such injustice. Aren't you guys horrified? We need to support Kelsey. The other female officer had a file. Yes, Kat, we're reading that. Yes, Ken Reed's story. Karen Reed number 2. Shady bunch of a-holes. You guys, what is going on? She has postpartum depression. Her fiance is trying to take custody of the baby. She gets shot. We don't even know what's really actually the truth. Third of all, the police chief is someone who has discrimination and harassment complaints against him. What else are they lying about? And she's incarcerated. Yeah. Sorry, I was drinking water. Okay. So, Commonwealth of Mass, defendant Chief Charles Gray and Dennis Casey, plaintiff Catherine. Are you guys ready for this? Introduction. The plaintiff, Catherine, brings us action seeking redress for substantial violations of her rights pursuant to mass civil rights, et cetera, and whistleblower acts, because allegedly she was a whistleblower. by retaliating against her for reporting, objecting to, and filing complaints about ongoing violations of law, as well as issues related to public safety and within the police department of the town of North Andover. The plaintiff, Catherine, is an individual residing in Essex County. Defendant, North Andover, is municipality duly incorporated under the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The defendant, Chief Charles Gray, is employed by the North Andover Police Department with place of business located in Essex County, Commonwealth of Mass. The defendant, Denise Casey, is employed by the town of North Andover with the place of business located in Essex County. Here's the facts. The poor girl has everyone against her. No wonder she has mental health issues. I know. I know, Augie. Plaintiff Sergeant Catherine, age 50, has been employed as a police officer for the town of North Andover for approximately 17 years. Plaintiff has received numerous awards and recommendations for her work during her career with the North Andover Police Department. She is and has always been a dedicated, energetic, and hardworking employee of the town. She has at all times conducted herself in a manner that exemplifies a role for other members of the police department. She has never had any disciplinary actions taken against her in her career. During much of her 17 years working for the North Andover Police Department, plaintiff has been subjected to a pattern and practice of sexual harassment, retaliation, and gender discrimination, which has been primarily perpetuated by members of the town and police department, including but not limited to defendant Chief Gray. The pattern of retaliation and discriminatory treatment has been tolerated and tactically approved by the supervisory staff members, including defendant Chief Gray. The ratio of male police officers to female police officers is 40 to 30, males to females. The pattern of discrimination consisted of ongoing emotional abuse and disparate treatment, which includes but not limited to the following actions by members of the North Andover Police Department. Oh my God. The last thing I need to hear is Higgy is involved here. Could you imagine? Yeah, I saw that. On or about October of 2005, plaintiff transferred from Hingham Police Department to North Andover Police Department as a full-time civil service lateral transfer. As a precondition of her transfer and based upon her 9 years of service with the Hingham Police Department, plaintiff was placed at the top patrol officer pay with Andover Department. It is important to note that the employment agreement between the town of North Andover and plaintiff stated, according to the salary language in the contract, the town manager may authorize an entrance rate higher than the minimum rate upon recommendation of a department head, supported by evidence in writing of special reasons and exceptional circumstances satisfactory to the town manager. The town manager at the time was Mark H. Reese, recognized by plaintiff's ability and agreed to start plaintiff at one step below maximum salary, and after 6 months of employment, plaintiff's salary was to be increased to the maximum step. It is evident from an agreement reached that the town of North Andover and the police department recognized and credited plaintiff's previous years of service with the Hingham Police Department, and as a result, instituted a salary in accordance with her experience. Beginning in 2013, plaintiff began working as a school resource officer with aspirations of becoming a detective. It had been past practice of the department to promote the SRO to detectives. In her role as SRO, plaintiff responsibilities included supervision over the town's middle school, elementary school, court officer, and firearms officer. Despite the wide range of her duties and responsibilities, the plaintiff excelled in her position. During her tenure at SRO, plaintiff complained to Lieutenant Gray, now Chief Gray, that the department should bifurcate these positions and assign a separate officer responsible for the firearms officer and court officers positions so that the RSO could focus on the significant issues surrounding schools and students. Plaintiff's recommendations to Defendant Gray was not well received. Defendant Gray refused to acknowledge the plaintiff, and as a result, plaintiff resigned from the SRO position. Immediately after plaintiff's resignation, Chief Gallagher, then at the time, and defendant grade instituted a separate position for firearms officer and court officer so that the new SRO was no longer responsible for those duties. Plaintiff was subsequently never promoted to detective and avers that the failure to promote her to detective was retaliatory and done as a consequence of expressing her dissatisfaction with the defendant's decision making. In March of 2016, Lieutenant Gray replaced his predecessor, Chief Gallagher, and became chief of police. Subsequently, Chief Gray began to implement and foster a culture of discriminatory and harassing conduct within the police department. The plaintiff supported a female officer who filed an MCAD complaint against the town and Chief Gray. The plaintiff avers her support for the female officer negatively impacted Chief Gray's opinion of the plaintiff. In 2018, the plaintiff received a score of 89% on the civil service promotional exam and was promoted to full-time sergeant. In September of 2018, there was a widely publicized gas explosion in Merrimack Valley, resulting in a widespread of destruction of property and the loss of life to one of the occupants in the neighboring community. Numerous members of the North Andover Police Department responded to that scene and actively participated in the recovery. Plaintiff subsequently raised multiple concerns regarding the manner in which the town of North Andover and the police department handled this incident, including, but not limited to, the department's refusal to offer any critical incident stress management for those North Andover officers that responded to the scene. The above complaint was raised by the plaintiff during a consultant interview conducted by the town in October of 2020 in its review of the police department. As a result of the internal stress from her work situation, the department's refusal to provide any mental health assistance, plaintiff sought personal counseling. In February of 2018, the female animal control officer, Marie P., was forced to resign by the department. Shortly after her departure, a male officer placed a label on the paper shredding machine located in the dispatch area with the name Marie on it. This was done with the intention of comparing the female officer to trash. The discriminatory act was condoned and tactility approved by defendant Chief Gray. As recently as of May 2022, Sergeant Michael Davis and other male staff members still refers to the paper shredder as Marie. Ew, how disgusting. Like, what? I can't with these people. On March 27th, 2019, the plaintiff requested a meeting with Kathy Darby, the former human resource director of the town of North Andover. Plaintiff wanted to address the inappropriate behavior with the department that was being condoned by Chief Gray. Specifically, plaintiff informed the HR director that an officer had stacked two large tables directly in front of the basement elevator, barricading any individual from exiting the elevator. The prank was condoned by Chief Gray and ultimately led it to another officer exiting the elevator and twisting his knee as he ran into the tables. Plaintiff also raised additional concerns regarding the unprofessional environment at the department that was fostered by Chief Gray. Sergeant Catherine raised her concerns to the HR department that the chief was also performing pranks within the department were unprofessional. These pranks included, but are not limited to, on multiple occasions, adding salt into the officer's coffee and moving officers' personal vehicles from the parking lot to remote locations. Plaintiff stated that these pranks were causing other officers to model their behavior after that of Chief Gray. Despite her legitimate concerns, no remedial action was taken by the town of North Andover to address this ongoing behavior. Chief Gray was informed and or became aware that the plaintiff had raised the above issues concerning the lack of professionalism with human resources. In April of 2019, plaintiff objected and raised concerns to Chief Gray and Administrative Director Jonathan Bonanno regarding the condition of the police department women's locker room. Plaintiff personally emailed Chief Gray and Mr. Bonanno's photographs taken of the women's locker room. Incredibly, these photographs depicted significant areas of existing mold and actual mushrooms that were growing in various areas of the women's locker room. What the helly? No similar conditions of mold or mushrooms were present in the men's locker room. Um, This is disgusting behavior by a department of law enforcement. Subsequently, the facilities director for the town of North Andover made an unsuccessful attempt to remediate the problem. As a result, once again, Sergeant Catherine complained directly to Chief Gray regarding her concerns that mold and fungus was a health issue as it continued to grow and spread in the women's locker room. The plaintiff demanded that the Board of Health be advised in the situation and assist with the resolving issue. Months later, the situation was eventually rectified. Plaintiff alleges that her continual complaints about unprofessional conduct, disparate treatment, the condition of the disparity between the men and the women's locker rooms resulted in being branded as a troublemaker by her supervisors within the department, including defendant Chief Gray. On October 22nd, 2020, plaintiff participated in a town consultant interview initiated for review of various aspects of the North Andover Police Department. During the course of her interview, the plaintiff identified and complained of numerous instances of discriminatory and harassing conduct that she had witnessed and been a victim of personally. The content of plaintiff's criticism and objections were subsequently disseminated to Chief Gray and the other supervisory officials within the town. Specifically, the plaintiff raised several concerns and objections that women within the department were afforded fewer opportunities for training and appointments to specialty roles. The plaintiff pointed to the ratio of male officers to females and alleged that within the department, women officers were treated as inferior to and or less than her male counterparts. By the way of example, plaintiff stated that she had previously denied CPR first responder training as a prerequisite for her to be able to teach at the academy. Plaintiff alleged that she was passed over for this aspect of professional development in favor of other male officers who had significantly less experience and time served than the plaintiff. During this interview, the plaintiff reiterated her complaints about the lack of, of professionalism within the department that was approved of, if not actively encouraged by Chief Gray. Plaintiff also reported that the department had not conducted a staff meeting with its ranking officers since the year of 2017, despite being required to do so by internal rules and regulations. The plaintiff reported and objected to the fact that the department did not have a critical incident stress management policy, which was placing North Andover officers' safety and mental health at risk. During this interview, the plaintiff also identified several critical incidents where North Andover officers were not properly supported and provided necessary counseling. The plaintiff explained to the review committee that despite her request to Chief Gray to provide counseling and a department-wide policy for this issue, Chief Gray responded that, quote unquote, it's part of the job. Plaintiff reported that the prison care within the department was subpar and did not conform with the standards required under the department's own rules and regulations. Plaintiff stated that Chief Gray had previously questioned the plaintiff on multiple occasions regarding plaintiff's decision-making to send prisoners to hospitals to receive medical care. Plaintiff stated that Chief Gray routinely questioned the plaintiff's decision to send prisoners to hospital because they were junkies. Yeah, that's the police chief for you. In February of 2021, North Andover female animal control officer resigned as a result of the disparate treatment she was experiencing, included but not limited to being compensated less than her male counterparts. In September of 2021, a female communications officer resigned to this ongoing treatment as well. Plaintiff was seen as an ally for both females identified above and as a result continued to be viewed by her supervisors, including Chief Gray, as a nuisance and a troublemaker. In February of 2022, contract negotiations between the union and town of North Andover resulted in step increases at 10, 15, 20, and 25 years of employment for officers within the bargaining unit. In the original contract negotiation documentation, there was no mention of the terms years of service, solely with the town of North Andover rather than total years of civil service employment as an officer. Subsequently, on March 24th, 2022, the town of North Andover stated that they had revised the particular terms, the collective bargaining agreement, so that only years of service within the town of North Andover were to be credited and not previous years with civil service. The plaintiff was the only North Andover superior officer who had prior years of service with the town of Hingman, and who would be adversely affected by this change in language. The plaintiff avers that her exclusion from this employment benefit was retaliatory, discriminatory, and purposely done to financially exclude plaintiff from this benefit as a result of her ongoing complaints and objections regarding Chief Gray and the operation of the police department. The plaintiff avers this action was taken by individuals within the town, including Chief Gray's and others, with the intention of retaliating against the plaintiff for her continual complaints about what she believed to be a pattern of ongoing discrimination and harassment. No other officer was similarly situated to plaintiff, having previous years of civil service experience, which which was impacted by by revision other than the plaintiff. At the same time, a similarly situated male patrol officer with prior years of civil service identical to the plaintiff was approved by defendants to have his previous years of civil service time credited for purposes of computing his salary and other employment benefits. Immediately after learning the revision, plaintiff contacted Chief Gray and had the following exchange. The plaintiff says, "Do you happen to know offhand why the town decided not to give credit for years other than in North Andover toward step increases?" Chief Gray says, "I did not." Plaintiff says, "Didn't you just tell me the other morning they were got to you and lobbied for it? Weird how things change." Chief Gray said, "I thought that was in the MOU. I read it wrong." On March 28th, plaintiff emailed Denise D, Casey, assistant town administrator, to highlight that the revision was contradictory to the employment agreement that was put in place upon her initial hiring by the town of North Andover, which unequivocally stated that she would be fully credited for her previous years of civil service with the town of Hingman. Plaintiff subsequently requested a meeting with the town officials to discuss the adverse impact upon her personally. It stated her belief that the action taken by the defendant was disparate in nature and retaliatory. No such meeting ever occurred. On April 11th, 2022, the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the union was ratified and signed by the North Andover Board of Selectmen. Plaintiff alleges that the actions by Chief Gray and other employees of the defendant town of North Andover, as fully identified above, were and are designed and intend to discriminate and retaliate against her based on her gender as one of only 3 female sworn officers to the North Andover Police Department. So, count 1, whistleblower. The plaintiff Um, the defendants collectively and individually have retaliated against the plaintiff for her objections to and refusal to comply with various violations of law department rules and regulations, as well as issues of public safety that have been committed by the defendants. And then it says count 1, whistleblower versus town of North Andover. The defendants retaliated against the plaintiff for reporting, disclosing, objecting to, and or refusing to participate in any an activity, police, or practice which plaintiff reasonably believed was in violation of law and or rule of regulation promulgated by law in violation of Massachusetts whistleblower statute. Wherefore, plaintiff demands judgment against count 1. And then there's count 2, Massachusetts civil rights versus defendant Chief Charles Gray and Denise Casey. The plaintiff, the defendants in their office, in their official and individual capacities, attempted to interfere with and did interfere with the plaintiff's exercise and enjoyments of rights secured by the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Mass. Count 3, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Wow. That is wild. So a little background on the police department, the chief handling. I know. This is so, does she have a good attorney? Her attorney is Bradle, who I believe is Turtle Boy's attorney. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I assume that's a good attorney. I'm gonna play a clip. I think Laura might know. But yes, I believe that's Turtle Boy's attorney as well.
Who was shot by fellow members of the force appeared in a courtroom Zoom today as her defense attorney argued that she should be released. He also says investigators are not telling the truth about what happened. WBZ's Beth Germano is live in Salem. And Beth, I know we are also learning more about what happened before this shooting.
Well, it's a case with many layers and now accusations of lies on both sides. KELSEY FITZSIMMONS is charged with armed assault to murder in a confrontation with fellow police officers. But her attorneys say there are two sides to the story as a judge considers if she is a danger. It's the first time seeing 28-year-old KELSEY FITZSIMMONS. Her attorneys in court fighting for her to be let out on bail, calling the case against her a he said, she said situation, not a criminal case, when she allegedly pointed a gun and attempted to shoot a fellow officer inside her North Andover home. Her family there to support her.
We just hope she gets home soon. We don't believe that KELSEY pointed her gun at anyone except herself.
It started June 30th when 3 officers arrived at the home to issue a restraining order that had been taken out by FITZSIMMONS' fiancé, worried she could harm their baby born in February and him. FITZSIMMONS has admitted to postpartum depression after the birth, voluntarily undergoing a mental health evaluation, according to her attorney, who says the condition is not a permanent one.
This was a transient episode that was brought on by an unimaginable confluence of events for KELSEY. And it's over, and it's gone, and she's fine. And that's what the court needs to understand.
That June night, attorneys say FITZSIMMONS went to a second-floor bedroom to get clothes for her baby who was being removed from the home. One of the 3 officers following her upstairs, who claims she suddenly grabbed her service weapon and fired with an empty chamber.
She racked the gun to load a round into the chamber. When she did that, he fired one shot, missed, and fired another shot.
There's no body camera. There was no other officer up there. There's 3 different stories, versions of what exactly was said in the reports before you.
Her attorneys say FITZSIMMONS, who was shot in the chest, has been slowly recovering and has never been heard in this case, while she's also fighting a custody battle. Former Attorney General Martha Coakley has become a co-defense counsel.
Our real goal is to make sure that she is heard, that the truth comes out about what really happened here, and our client is innocent.
Now, prosecutors say all of this allegedly happened after FITZSIMMONS was cleared to return to the force and that she remains a danger to herself and others. Her attorneys say if bail is granted, there is a plan for her release and that these are untested allegations. Reporting live from out.
So this was from, that was from 2 months ago, that clip. The judge would not let her take the GPS off for needed surgery. I know. And something with the breathalyzer, that's why she was put back in jail, right? Because she couldn't do the scram testing at home. Okay, I have one more article and then we'll get back to, I want to watch the press conference. I have that as well. Oh, thank you, Laura. You found it. The link, the Give, Send, Go. I will link it in the description as well. So this article, I wanted to go through it because it says masked police officer shot in armed confrontation faces armed assault to other murder charges. We might already know this too, but I still wanted to go through it. A North Andover police officer who was shot by fellow officer during what officials called an armed confrontation is facing a number of felony charges in connection with the incident and included armed assault with intent to unalive. KELSEY FITZSIMMONS is also charged with 2 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Officials have not said what led up to FITZSIMMONS being shot in the chest by another officer. So this was an older article, remember that, while being served a restraining order. But the charges stem from the June 30th shooting when the police showed up with a restraining order taken out by FITZSIMMONS' fiance. A defense attorney for FITZSIMMONS, however, is strongly pushing back on sorry, I lost my place. A defense attorney for FITZSIMMONS, however, strongly pushing back on the charges and claims by the fiance. The probate court affidavit attached to the restraining order is full of hearsay and self-serving allegations, said Tim Bradle. Kelsey's a new mother who was manifesting symptoms of postpartum depression at the time of the incident. She needed help. She needed compassion. What she got instead was gunfire and by now appalling campaign to criminalize her in order to deflect accountability from the agency responsible for this botched response. Fitzsimmons had recently won her gun license back after it was taken away. We read that part. The reason, like, I'm just a little disgusted because the officer who used deadly force on Kelsey when like we read before, that was a confidant, that was her friend, that was someone who supported her, especially remember they said she was 20 weeks pregnant when she went through that incident where her mental health became an issue. And so basically the bottom line is this is what the article says that I'm reading. The town employed FFEMT told a judge he believed there was imminent danger to himself, their infant, and to Kelsey. He even mentioned that the order would escalate the problem. This is talking about Justin, the fiance. He never called 911 for this imminent danger. It all seems to be able control, and the officer who used deadly force may never have sought out psychiatric services for himself after the murder suicide, which no doubt impacted how he responded to the RO involving Kelsey and this infant. And I wanted to point that out. I thought that was very interesting that someone said that in an article because it's true. Like maybe the police department and the system failed on providing them the mental health resources from that incident. And both this officer who shot Kelsey and Kelsey with both experiencing these things, and exactly it impacted how he responded to that incident. He would have empathized with other males in the situation. The police called it an armed confrontation that occurred at the residence. Then the responding cops got their story straight. It's now one woman with mental illness versus PD, FT, and town hall. Like Officer Kelly Dever says, my job depends on it. That was from an article, and I was shook. Shook. Who is her fiance? You guys saw the picture earlier. Let me pull up the PowerPoint. I want to tell you guys a little bit about the fiance, at least from what I found. Okay. So her fiance is Justin. I wasn't able to find much, but I did find that back in the day on June 21st, 2013 at 4:06 p.m., Justin of Stowe, MA, was arrested on Interstate 95 in Hampton Falls and charged with possession and transportation of a controlled drug. I mean, it's an older situation, but let's pull up the article. I'm going to remove I thought we could get into it. Weed. Is that what it was? It was just weed? New Hampshire State Police Troop A made the following arrest on June 21st to June 27th. Justin. That's what it was? Weed ain't no big thing. Exactly. They're making a big deal out of weed and making a big deal out of her arrested. Are they making a big deal? She got arrested in college for alcohol? Kelsey did? So what? Big deal. I don't think either of these things are a big deal, but that was really all I could find on Justin. Just that little arrest that he had back in the day. Back then, weed was illegal. Yeah. Kid stuff, says Kat. Okay, let's get into, so that was really all I could find on Justin, but I did also remember I did say that he is trying to fight her for sole custody, and allegedly he's trying to take her house now as like child support or something. I have the court documents of that too, but first I want to play the press conference and then we'll read Bradel's statement. Let's watch the press conference. It's only 10 minutes. They're using it against her. Her friends are coming out and saying she was violent when she is drunk. I have been there before. So I guess I can't judge her.
I'm here with Chief Gray and members of his command staff. First, let me say thank you all for your patience last evening. As you can imagine, when an event takes place at 6 p.m. and we're all looking for answers, I know you had lots of questions last night. The public had lots of questions. But we thought that everyone would be better served by getting as many preliminary facts as we could and then putting it out today, obviously with an eye toward being as transparent as we can given the circumstances. Last evening, shortly after 6 p.m., 3 North Andover police officers went to 125 Phillips Brook Road in North Andover. The purpose of going there was to serve a court-approved restraining order. The subject of the restraining order was 28-year-old KELSEY FITZSIMMONs. Ms. Fitzsimmons was an off-duty North Andover police officer. She has approximately a year and a half on the job here with NAPD. 3 North Andover police officers were on the scene, one of whom was a supervisor. When one of the officers was escorting Ms. Fitzsimmons during the service of the court order, an armed confrontation took place. As a result of that armed confrontation, one of the responding officers discharged their weapon, which struck Ms. Fitzsimmons once. She was immediately given medical care. She was med-flighted to a Boston hospital, and as of this morning, we're told she is in stable condition. The officer that discharged the firearm is a veteran officer, having served over 20 years with the department. Now, as you can imagine, we're only about 16 hours out from this incident. There are still lots of questions. There's an ongoing investigation. Currently, the investigation is being done by Massachusetts State Police detectives assigned to my office at the Essex DA's office under the direction of Captain John Costa and Detective Lieutenant Robert DeMeo. There are lots of interviews to be done. There are lots of pieces to be put together. There's lots of things that remain unanswered, but for now, we want to make sure that the people of North Andover and across the Commonwealth know as much as we can give out at this time, being as transparent as we can. We also know that serving restraining orders, court-approved restraining orders, are sometimes some of the most dangerous duties that police officers uncover, no matter who the object of that order is. Chief Gray has been a great partner with us, not only through this investigation, but through many others. I wanted to make sure we give the chief an opportunity to speak, particularly about his officers, and sometimes we worry deeply about the wellness of our police officers as well, particularly in difficult circumstances. So they're in our thoughts. Chief Gray.
Thank you, sir.
Ooh.
Thank you.
So this is the officer that I just read that complaint about. Ew.
Just some quick words on what happened. It's an ongoing investigation, like the DA said. There's not much we can talk about. We're concerned for all the officers on duty and off duty, and we're just going to monitor and hopefully get some results.
Okay. We will be able to take some questions, and to the extent that the chief
That was terrible on his part.
and I are able to answer them, we will. As you can imagine, over the next few days, we'll probably be getting more answers. There are lots of interviews being done. State police detectives worked well into the night last night. We spoke with them this morning. They're already at it this morning. So to the extent that we can answer some questions, we will. Some we may have to defer for a little bit more time. We're going to make sure that what we do give you is accurate information rather than speculation. I know you all appreciate that as well. So having said that, we can take some questions and we'll do the best we can to answer.
Was the off-duty officer armed, and what precipitated the on-duty officer to fire at her?
So what we're saying is accurately that there was an armed confrontation. In terms of the details of that and how that came to be, it was during the service of the court-approved restraining order. But the very granular details we're waiting to speak on until we get the interviews back from our state police detectives who are speaking with the North Andover officers that were involved.
How about the restraining order? Can you tell us what all the nature of that, who was it for, et cetera?
So I can't comment on who the plaintiff was, but I can tell you.
But we know it's Justin, and we read the
That
affidavit.
a court order, there are check boxes. Oftentimes it's stay away from, no contact, and turn over all firearms. So the restraining order was a standard 209A filed by the plaintiff and served by the North Andover officers.
Were the officers going to retrieve her weapon?
Pursuant to the court order, one of the standard boxes to check is retrieval of any firearms in the home. That's standard operating.
Can you say where she was struck?
No, I'm not going to comment on the medical condition at all.
Can you say how many people were in the house at the time, including Ms. Fitzsimmons?
I can tell you that there were 3 North Andover police officers. In terms of other people in the house, until I get the full reports back, I won't be able to tell you how many and who they were.
Is there any body camera footage of what happened?
We're actually looking to see what camera footage is available. I have not seen any, and I don't have any
What a liar. They don't even have them, I don't think.
reports on any.
Do North Andover police officers typically have body cameras on when they're executing these?
Yeah, she was off duty. I agree. Where is her union rep? No, and I said this at the beginning. I was like, were they allowed to do that, to just send her colleagues over there? Like, I thought it was supposed to be some kind of professional. They knew she was on leave for mental health issues. Why wasn't, like, do they have like an advocate? I don't know. What about the whole child thing? Like, why wasn't CPS involved if they were removing a baby from a mother? Like, I'm confused. It's shady. It's shady.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I can't stand this man.
Orders?
No, the North Andover Police Department does not use body cameras at this time.
Can you speak at all to
Oh, ew. You big ugly potato.
her mental health, and also was this related at all to her efforts to have her weapon was taken away from her, and then
That's my opinion too. Please do not think Chief Police Officer Gray is a ugly potato. That is just my opinion.
have sought relief in the courts, and I think it was Friday she dismissed that. Is this related to that at all?
So the scope of our investigation right now is the actual armed confrontation. I'm sure that there'll be further information coming out. I'm sure that North Andover PD will be looking at that as well. But in terms of commentary on her mental health, I'm not comfortable speaking on that at this time.
Can you talk at all about the efforts that she sought to have her weapon given back to her? Can you speak to that at all? What that situation was and why?
So, Chief of Personnel Matter?
Personnel matter,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Chief, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just, it is
What is wrong with this guy?
a personnel matter, so we aren't going to speak about anything like that. Yes, ma'am.
I know you guys are pros, but can you speak about how you're all feeling today? Not just the 3 responding officers, how you're feeling? What's the mood?
I mean, it's a critical incident, and like a lot of critical incidents the police officers deal with, we all have our own way of, getting through it, whether together or by ourselves, and this is no different.
Chief, she was a member of the department. Did she know the officers who were coming to her home? Did everyone know each other?
Yes.
I would assume so, yes.
Can you talk about her as an officer on the department, what she was like, why she wanted to become a police officer?
At this time, I'm not comfortable talking about that sort of thing.
How about in terms of charges? I mean, will there be some charges at some point? I mean, I would ask you just one other thing. That we have reports that she may have been involved in an incident in Maine at an Airbnb over the weekend, and then was involved in an accident on the Maine Turnpike. Is there any truth to that? Can you speak to that at all?
Not specifically as to what occurred prior to what we've spoken about already, but what the lead up to it certainly would be something that would be part of the investigation. And you had a first
I
part.
just wondered about, charges, at what point in time would she be charged? Would you wait till she came out of the hospital? Do you know how long she might be there?
So we don't know how long she'll be treated. The good news is that she's in stable condition. In terms of charging, there will be meetings between our state police detectives and our senior trial team. We've already met this morning. As of right now, I can't tell you what those charges will be, except to say that our senior trial team will be working with the detectives, and to the extent that charges will come forward, they will fit what took place here.
Well, I'm sorry, but in terms of what's her
Yeah, well, they don't fit.
status with the department right now? She's suspended, administrative, et cetera?
Right now, it's on administrative leave.
How about the other officers that are on leave?
Again, this is like the DA said, they're 16 hours old, so we're assessing the other officers, and we're going through our policies and determining what sort of action is going to be taken as far as time off or any sort of other methods.
Yeah.
Are you able to say how long she's been on administrative leave?
I think we'll just leave it that she was on administrative leave. And I also
At
just...
the time of the incident, she was on administrative leave?
She was, we'll just say she was on administrative leave, and that leave obviously is now going to be extended. So we'll just leave it at that. I do want to make a comment, though. There's been 3 questions, and I think that all of them are very good questions when it comes to officers' mental health. And think about the things that police officers have to face. Now you take a look at the circumstances that are known to us that occurred in this particular incident. We worry deeply about the mental health of our officers. I know Chief Gray does worry greatly about his officers, as do I. I was a 32-year police officer myself. I know the struggles that the officers have, and I appreciate the questions, and I just don't want it to be lost in the swirl of the headlines that these are humans. These are police officers that have to make quick decisions, that use of potentially using deadly force. This is something that should not go unnoticed or unappreciated by the public. So I appreciate your questions on that.
Is she under guard at the hospital?
So we never comment on if somebody's under guard or what the security is at the hospital. That's just something that we routinely do not comment on.
I sort of asked this question before, and you may have said that you couldn't answer it, but related to her weapon, did she have it in possession at the time of this or not? I know you said that the boxes are checked, and did she have her weapon been returned?
So we're not commenting on the weapons. All I can tell you is that on the order, there was the check box if there were weapons home to retrieve them, which we would have done if they were there. All right?
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Again, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, not a fan of any of those people there. The vibes I get are just no bueno. I want to now, okay, let's touch on this. This is a good little timeline real quick. And then I'm going to read the statement by the attorney. So this Reddit, I found this. You guys know I like Reddit. Okay, so let's recap. In the last 7 months, this is by Andrew. In the last 7 months, Kelsey has given birth to her first child, suffered from severe postpartum depression, been placed on work leave from the job she loves, had her firearm removed, been taken off of leave and cleared for duty, become pregnant with her second child. So when she got shot in the chest, it is alleged she had a miscarriage because of that. Now, I don't know the authorities or law enforcement, whatever, has confirmed that, but it is hearsay on the internet streets. She became pregnant with her second child, not me being dyslexic, been served a restraining order by her colleagues, had her child taken away, attempted to end her own life, been shot in the chest by a friend, been airlifted with life-threatening injuries, spent nearly 60 days in the hospital, underwent multiple intense surgeries, been arrested, been put in jail as a police officer, former CO, had her entire life out on public display, put her home up for sale, been released from jail, been put back in jail, suffered due to process violations, had her ex-partner try to claim all of the money from her future home sale, had her ex-partner essentially try to claim custody of their child for the next 17 years, loses her second child while incarcerated. This is more than one person should have to go through in an entire lifetime. I just want us to recognize all of that and how crazy that is. And a lot of us go through things like this, but it's so sad. Okay. I have 2 more articles I want to read, and then we'll read the statement by her lawyer. This article, I'm not going to actually read this because we already know everything. But I will read this one. This I found interesting. Well, I'll read that one at the end. I'll read Bradle's statements. Yes, I have the court hearing. We're gonna play that in tomorrow's live. Adding to stage. Okay. There's a lot of documents. We're gonna have to split the lives into multiple ones because there's a lot of documents and the audio hearing. Okay, so this was from Timothy Bradle, her attorney. This was July 9th. So it says, regarding North Andover police officer KELSEY FITZSIMMONS retains the law offices of Tim Bradle. Thank you, Kat Randall, for gifting a membership. Who got that membership? I can't even see it. Oh, Carrie Daniels got it. Thank you, Kat, for gifting. You're so kind. We would have not seen this happen had it not been for Karen Reed. The world is watching now. Exactly, Kat. Exactly. And we need to support Kelsey just like we supported Karen Reed. Okay, so it says after North Hire retains Tim Bradle after North Andover police take her 4-month-old baby, shoot her in the chest, and in concert with the Mass State Police, charging her with serious crimes. I'm sorry. I think that other officer should be charged. Do you guys not agree? Why isn't he charged for not? Was he supposed to shoot her in the chest? Why in the chest? I'm confused. Why so aggressive? Did he follow protocol? If not, is he on timeout from work? Let's see. Law offices of Timothy Bradle PC is pleased and honored to announce that North Andover police officer KELSEY FITZSIMMONS and her family have retained attorney Timothy J. Bradle. He will represent Kelsey for all the matters related to life-threatening injuries she sustained after being shot in the chest by a fellow officer in the North Andover Police Department. She was shot in connection with the service of a restraining order obtained by surprise in an ex parte fashion by the father of her 4-month-old baby seeking to take the child away from her. She was confronted by 3 men from her department, and in an instant, her baby, her job, and her future and her fiance were all taken from her. Again, someone help me understand. Does CPS not show up, or someone like an advocate, not from law enforcement, that is a trained professional in like mental health and child cases? Why were they able to just take the baby from her? As far as I'm concerned, like there's always CPS involved. The police department didn't have a right to take her baby from her and place him in the hands of another police officer until the dad got the baby. We had hoped to, I might be wrong, I don't know the state laws, but that's effed up. Oh, Jennifer, I'm sorry to hear that. Thanks for sharing, though. Oh, thanks anyways, Laura. Okay, let's continue. We had hoped to address the details of this case solely in court, but a probate court affidavit full of hearsay and self-serving allegations, was deliberately and widely leaked, smearing Kelsey's name in the process. This was not an accident. It was a strategy. It was a strategy. We must set the record straight to assure future fairness for our client. This is literally like Karen Reed all over again. Kelsey is a new mother who was manifesting symptoms of postpartum depression at the time of the incident. She needed help. She needed compassion. What she got instead was gunfire and now an appalling campaign to criminalize her in order to deflect accountability from the agency responsible for this botched response. Instead of de-escalation, she was met with deadly force. Police officers have a duty to assess the specific circumstances before responding with deadly force at the first sight of a weapon. Thank you, Tim Bradle. That's why you are the attorney, because that's the words I was looking for. Like when I said, wasn't he trained appropriately? Like they are trained to respond with deadly force appropriately. Shooting her in the chest. I think she was breastfeeding when they walked in and got the restraining order there. Like, Jesus Christ, breastfeeding and you shoot a woman in the chest, and then you lock her up in jail. And she's not even getting the mental health treatment. Like, I don't care what they say. And, oh, they can give you meds in jail and mental health treatment. It's so shitty in there. I wouldn't, she needs help. Like, she needs to be in a facility and she needs to have access to her baby. Like I said earlier, this is doing so much more harm than good. Like, and I hope that she gets what she deserves, and that's to be out and get her baby. And I hope that she goes after this department because they put her baby at risk for conditions, like I mentioned earlier, such as anxious attachment disorder, avoidance attachment disorder, etc. I am disgusted. Massachusetts law prohibits the use of deadly force against a person exhibiting only danger to herself. Wait, what? Mass law prohibits the use of deadly force against a person exhibiting only danger to herself. She was trying to unalive herself. So am I reading that right? It prohibits them from charging her? We will address the shoot first fallacy held by some law enforcement officers that the instant a GUN appears that the only response is to fire first. Other options such as move, create space, find cover are not adequately considered. We will also examine officer-created jeopardy, whereby due to inadequate training or inappropriate response, an officer creates dangerous circumstances in a call that are in turn met by deadly force police response. Yeah, that other officer needs to be charged. Or what do they call it when they like you're out on leave or something? We will obtain any and all training records and prior incidents in such cases. We intend to fight these charges with every legal resource available. We will demand full transparency and follow every lead where it takes us. We will call out every contradiction and expose every lie. Today, we speak on behalf of KELSEY FITZSIMMONS. She needs another voice to speak for her because she remains in grave condition in the hospital as those with contrary interest are circling the wagons, leveling serious criminal charges, and leaking their self-serving probate court affidavits in an attempt to discredit her as she fights for her life. We call on the public, the media, and all of those who care about process and accountability to watch this case closely and wait for all the facts to come out. Consider issues related to postpartum depression in young mothers and the use of deadly force by police when faced with those suffering from emotional or mental impairment. This should never have happened and must never happen again. Justice for Kelsey. Remember, each side gets to give a story. Credibility is up to the jury. She better really sell it if she's not going to get the guilty verdict. He said, she said, no body cam. They believe the on-duty cop. No, he said, she said, bullshit. That should just be dropped automatically then. He said, she said, people lie. It's human nature. It's literally not even a sin in the Bible to lie. Is it a sin in the Bible? Well, when we talk of like murder and stuff, but people lie, humans lie. It's human nature. Like that shouldn't be. Has that other guy spoken out? Like I'm curious to get those documents on the other officer. Like why did he shoot his friend in the chest? Just a question. I don't know. I'm no lawyer, but out of approximately 350 cities, there are only approximately 140 cities with body cams here in Mass. Wow. Hmm. Okay, let's see. Oh, I have another document. It's just a couple pages. This is the Kelsey Fitzsimmons releases statement to set the record straight. I'm pulling it up on the screen in front of me, just so you guys know why I'm looking over there. I'm not trying to mean mug you guys. Everybody lies. Exactly, Cat Rundle. Exactly. I'm sick of just people thinking that their shit don't stink. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, dude. July 17th, 2025. This is from her attorney. It is time to end the PR war. Let me remove this. It is time to end the PR war on North Andover Police Kelsey Fitzsimmons. As Kelsey recovers from her life-threatening injuries, she cannot sit idle any longer. In our first press release, we were honored to speak for Kelsey when she was fighting for her life and could not speak for herself. As stated, we would have preferred to address the facts of matter in court, but Kelsey believes it is imperative that since she has been battered with leaks from negative and false allegations, she speak out now to set the record straight. Here's her statement. My name is Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and as I recover in my hospital bed, I am ready to speak about the incident that took place on June 30th, 2025, in my own home, where I almost lost my life. I was diagnosed with postpartum depression in March of 2025, approximately 3 weeks after giving birth to my beautiful baby boy. I have actively been in treatment since the day of my diagnosis and was eager to heal and feel like myself again. Unfortunately, healing a sickness does not happen overnight. However, what can happen overnight is my life turning upside down into something so horrible, my mind wouldn't even be able to imagine it if it weren't my current reality. Someone who I thought understood my diagnosis, loved me in sickness and in health, and was in my corner for the journey of my active treatment to get better, turned their back on me. Said person is now legally bullying me to get what they want, slandering my character, and using my diagnosis against me to seem like I am a monster. These are more allegations than I can even comment on. The deep love I have for my baby boy sustains me and keeps me strong. I haven't spent more than a night away from him since I delivered him, and I adore every moment I spend with him. He's my best friend, my miracle, my little man, my sweet baby boy, and most importantly, a giant piece of my heart. Right now, that piece of my heart is missing when I need it the most. I am 5 months postpartum with my baby boy who needs me as much as I need him. I would never put that angel of a child in harm's way. My job as his mama is to protect him. And that is what I have always done and will continue to do for the rest of my life. Becoming a mother has always been my dream, and I never made any threats towards my baby. The allegation specifically makes me sick to my stomach. I was alone with my baby day in and day out for months caring for him as my fiance worked 24 to 48-hour shifts, but conveniently, there were never any concerns up until now. So she was able to safely take care of her baby for while he was working all that time. Why is he saying she's a terrible mother now? On June 30th, 2025, I received a call from my fiance to meet him at the park to go for a walk with our baby boy together. After almost 3 hours of waiting for him at the park and no communication from him, I went home and very confused as he never showed up. About an hour later, I was sitting on my couch feeding my baby boy when I got a knock on my front door. Very confused to see 3 of my colleagues, I opened the door and I am told the following. Your fiance has filed a restraining order against you. He will be taking your son away with no contact allowed. Your firearms license was just returned, is gone. And oh, yeah, that career you worked so hard for and love that you were just cleared to return to, that will be taken away too. Following this interaction, I packed bags containing baby food, clothes, diapers, toys, etc., for my son to be taken away from me. I passed my son off to a fellow police officer and I went into my bedroom. In that horrible moment, I didn't want to live after my whole world was turned upside down in a matter of a 10-second conversation due to someone alleging horrible, untrue things. We have a broken legal system where someone can walk into a courthouse, write anything that self-serves them on an affidavit, and as a result, a brand new mother suffering with postpartum depression gets her baby taken away. We are calling on the legislature and the governor to reform this abomination of a statute where the first person to get to court and fill out a form can take a mother's newborn away from her if they can sneak in front of a judge without the mother's notice or opportunity to be heard. If there's an immediate issue, someone call 911. Then courts are not equipped for proper on-the-spot decision-making in this context without hearing from both sides. As a police officer, I am trained to know what to do if I encounter a suicide individual who is only displaying a threat to themselves. I certainly was not trained to pew a suicidal person in the chest, but here I am today, 2 surgeries later, bedridden and trying really hard to heal from these significant injuries. I am facing felony charges for a half-hearted attempt to take my own life. Let me say that again. I am in trouble and have a gunshot wound to my chest because in that awful isolated moment, I no longer had the will to live. I never pointed my firearm at the officer. That officer was not just a colleague, he was my friend. That officer and I experienced a very difficult and sad call for service together last summer. That call for service that day was a true tragedy and caused this officer and I to build a friendship due to experiencing it together. We entered the home and walked into something no human should ever see. A murder-suicide scene with a mother and an infant. As a rookie police officer, this was devastating to me. At the time, I was 20 weeks pregnant. The officer who fired his firearm at me experienced this call with me. To this day, his support during the hard time is something I'm still grateful for, regardless of this recent incident that occurred. This traumatic situation call was the catalyst for my mental health complications. As a police officer myself, I would never think intentionally to hurt another officer. I see everyone in uniform as my brothers and sisters. I especially would never hurt my friend who has a loving wife and children. I just would never. My firearm was never pointed in any direction other than my temple. When I pulled the trigger, my gun did not fire. However, I was immediately got shot in the chest by my colleague and friend. I'm extremely grateful for 2 things: that God protected me from my attempt of taking my own life and protected me by millimeters from dying from that wound to my chest. I will survive and thrive. I know I need to be on this earth for many reasons, but most importantly, my beautiful son. This is my covenant with God and my son. I would also like to note from the beginning, I acknowledged my diagnosis of postpartum depression and immediately sought help from medical professionals. I was failed by so many. The narrative that has been released by North Andover Police Department is vague and non-committal for a reason. If body cameras were worn by the department, I would not be in the position where I am wrongly accused of pointing my firearm at an officer. I know the truth will prevail. Wow. Justice, #justice for Kelsey. So true, change the system. I know. Let me see. That was okay, the statement. No one should have to go through all of this. Yeah, I agree. The friend officer should feel like a real, yeah, I know. I know. The system wants to make her away. This breaks my heart. How could anyone do such a thing to a baby and a mama? I know, Augie. It's terrible. It's so terrible. Yeah, Laura. So true. I could go into court today and say anything about a close family and friend, say I am fair for my life and in fear for your life and get a temper restraining order. Then the facts, yeah. I know. She just needed help and some support, but received bullying. I'm so sad that she needed all this mental help. No one should have to go through all of this. I know, Dina. I'm horrified. And she's incarcerated right now. They put her she went back to jail because she couldn't do alcohol breathing. She had scram. I don't know if you guys have ever been familiar with scram, but she had scram and it's a pain in the ass. Like scram because she was shot in the chest. She couldn't breathe. She had difficulty breathing. And when you have a scram device, you have to breathe into it. It's it's very frequent. It's a couple times a day in the morning and in the night. So she couldn't breathe into it. And I believe that's what brought her back in jail. Thank you. Thank you, Laura, for linking it. Yeah, help Kelsey heal. Yeah. I'm gonna link it in the description too. This is just I'm so sad for this case. This is rough and this sucks for her. And that baby is in the hands of a man who doesn't care for his mom and his well-being, the baby's well-being. This is so messed up. Tomorrow we will be going through the hearing and a few more court documents regarding this case. But before I leave, I did find this random article that was written by Justin's parents, her shady fiance, and I just thought it was interesting. So, you know me, let's just read it. It's an old article, but I'm like, huh? You weirdos. Okay, let's see. Not you guys in the chat. You know, I love you. You know, I'm talking about the people who wrote this article or the parents in this article. Okay, it says addiction communities weary of long-term C19 impacts. Lisa and Doug, which is his parents, say their cell phones have recently been ringing more often than normal. They're peer facilitators for Hudson branch of the Learn to Cope support group, which works with families of people struggling with addiction. And many of those calls, they say, are from overwhelmed group members. As confusion and anxiety hits all the areas of the coronavirus, this already at-risk community, after all, is feeling an increased strain that some say may reshape it for years to come. There are a lot of roadblocks to begin with this disease, Lisa said. Now there are just more of them. As society locks down, she and her husband are quick to note that thousands of people across the Commonwealth remain addicted to substances. That has posed a unique challenge to the web of family members and advocates committed to fighting this drug crisis that has killed more than 2,200 people just last year in Mass alone. This challenge is provided a treatment and landscape afraid to literally and proverbially even open the door. That's so tough, Lisa said. Perhaps most prominent in this new phase in the addiction to fight, the Alliance say has been amended process of involuntary committing loved ones to treatment. Melly, why the hell are you reading this article written by Justin's parents? Because if they so wholeheartedly believe this during the pandemic and they're so concerned about substance addiction and helping the community, why are they not telling their son to act differently? So basically, I'm saying that they're shitty because they should not be enabling Justin to take that baby from Kelsey and to keep Kelsey locked up and incarcerated and to write that disgusting affidavit full of lies saying he feared for his life. No, you knew she was going through postpartum depression. You had already been there for her, and then you turned your back on her. So let me repeat that. Justin's parents say this has been the amended process of involuntary committing loved ones to treatment. In normal times, a concerned family member or public official first goes to court to file a written petition detailing the conditions of the person in question. A judge can call a hearing and may issue a warrant for police to personally bring a person to court. So doesn't this sound like exactly what they did to Kelsey. And this article is hell of old. Let me go back to the date, 2020. It's almost like, are they telling Justin what to do? Once in court, the hearing proceeds, often with attorneys present, determine whether the state should send that person involuntary to one of at least 6 treatment facilities across Mass. These days, though, courts are closed. And while civil commitments proceed, they do some through remote means that are familiar with. The confusion that Doug says has made some reluctant to have loved ones committed when they might otherwise be willing. When you're living with this disease, he said, to do one more thing sometimes feels so overwhelming. The challenge doesn't end at the court, however. Those with loved ones who consent to treatment, advocates say, are finding closed doors and hearing cascades of no. We are pushing for our families to stand up strong and say, you need to find a bed, Lisa said. But it's hard because there are not a lot of places now admitting new patients. The pushing in turn is happening abbreviated support settings that Lisa and Doug worry are not providing the same benefits they normally do. Learning to Cope has switched its weekly meetings to online, video conference formats, AA groups, support groups. It's been hard. That support you get in person is far more beneficial than when you get over Zoom when you just screen a voice, Doug said. Leonard, meanwhile, says she worries about the lack of physical contact. Hugs, she says, are a source of comfort at her meetings. Distance, she worries her group members won't be able to connect as they normally do. Well, ironic that you think this about people who are going through drug addiction, but you don't think this about a mother who's going through postpartum decision and she's of your family now, because whether you like it or not, ma'am, she had your grandbaby from her womb. So I'm disgusted. I feel like they're hypocrites, and I don't understand why they are not helping Kelsey and have turned against her. I don't understand. And until I see her being crazy and horrible and doing horrific things not involving mental health, I'm standing for Kelsey because that's complete, utter bullshit. I went through a really dark mental health period in my life, very much similar to this, just with a couple different aspects. So I'm very passionate about, and I know what it's like to get mental health treatment. I know what it's like to have the resources and not have the resources. And I know what it's like to be struggling. And I know what it's like to deal with law enforcement. So I am horrified. And one of these days I plan to talk about my story because I feel like you could learn a lot from it. I definitely did. Oh, thank you, Augie. Augie gifted a membership. And Kat Randall. Oh, and Kat Randall gave me a super chat. Sorry, I was passionately reading. Oh my God, Laura got the membership. Yay, Laura. During COVID, this did happen. Yes, it did. And I was reading it because I thought it was very hypocritical of them. And that's why I wanted to point out on an article from 2020. Thank you guys. And thank you, Kat Randall, for gifting and supporting. Thank you, Melanie, and for your attention to Kelsey. We are on it. I have made a playlist. I have so many documents. I have literally, I think because they're hard to get, I'm having to find them on Twitter and like, it's hard. So I have like 300 images of documents, and then we're going to do the hearing tomorrow. We got a lot. We're going to cover up to everything. We're going to be caught up on the whole Kelsey case. But I did just want to introduce it to my channel because we are continuing to cover it. And I wanted you guys all to know, and I'm going to support Kelsey as much as I can on my channel and outside of my channel, which I'll talk to you guys about later. And like I said, we are making a second channel. I will drop that link later. Thank you. Drug addiction to help with depression. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Actually, a lot of his family were wearing purple in the courtroom. Some believe it was a subtle hint to let them know they were actually in some way looking out for her. Okay, I like that. Well, they need to stop Justin. That's what I think I need. Broken Baker. Oh my God. Okay. I will absolutely reach out to you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been trying to find them because I'm a document fiend here. We like to read a lot of documents. I usually can get a lot of them, but I was struggling with these. So you are so kind. Thank you for letting me know. I will definitely reach out to you. Definitely. Okay, so you guys know about Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I know a few of you said you didn't. Now we're getting caught up on this case. Shout out to you guys for being here. We do have more lives planned later for today. We have a Mackenzie live, and I have a Turtle Boy live coming for you guys. I know, exciting. We haven't had an actual Turtle Boy case deep dive here. We're gonna do it. I'm a big fan. And he gave me a shout out the other day, which I was, yes, I'm fangirling. And that was really, really dope. So we have a live coming on Sandra Birchmore. We have a live coming on BK. We have another Kelsey Fitzsimmons live tomorrow, and we have more Mackenzie. So definitely make sure you guys turn on your notifications. It is True Crime Weekend with Melly, if you already know. Thank you to everyone who supported. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you guys in a little bit. I'm gonna get some food in me, and we'll be back with I might do a Melly After Dark tonight as well. So get ready for that. You know how that goes. And shout out to my mods for being here. I will see you guys shortly on the next live.